Most people who buy a camper van in year one are thrilled. By year two, a surprising number of them are quietly trying to sell it. This video explains exactly why, and how to make sure you're not one of them. If you're seriously thinking about buying a camper van in 2026, you need to hear what nobody in this space talks about. Not the Instagram highlights, not the manufacturer brochure, the real financial picture, the maintenance surprises, the lifestyle realities after the honeymoon phase wears off. By the end of this video, you'll know whether van ownership actually makes sense for your situation and what to do if it does. Section 1. The honeymoon trap. Here's the thing about year one. It lies to you. You're riding adrenaline. Every trip feels like an adventure. Minor inconveniences feel charming. You're posting photos, you're loving the freedom, and your brain is filtering out the friction. But around month 10 or 11, something shifts. The novelty fades, and what's left is just the math and the reality. I've spoken with dozens of van owners across the US and Europe, and the pattern is almost identical. Year one is emotionally profitable. Year two is where the real audit begins. So what does that audit actually look like? Section 2. The real cost breakdown nobody shows you. Let's talk money first, because this is where most buyers get blindsided. Take a mid-spec Mercedes Sprinter camper van, one of the most popular platforms in both the US and European market right now. A decent, professionally converted Sprinter in 2026 is going to cost you somewhere between $80,000 and $130,000, depending on spec, conversion quality, and whether you're buying new or used. European buyers are looking at similar figures in euros. 70,000 to 110,000 euros is realistic for a quality build. That number feels like the cost. It isn't. What people don't factor in up front, depreciation in the first 3 years on a high-spec conversion is brutal, often 15 to 25%. If you paid $100,000, that's potentially $25,000 gone before you've done anything wrong. And this is where the real regret starts, not with a breakdown, with a spreadsheet. On top of that, specialist servicing for a Sprinter, oil, AdBlue, DPF maintenance runs higher than a standard vehicle. Budget around $2,000 to $3,500 per year in the US for routine maintenance alone. In Europe, you have slightly more service options, which helps, but the costs are comparable. And here's something almost no one tells you about the conversion itself. The cheaper the conversion, the more expensive the ownership. A $15,000 budget van build might look great on day one. By month 14, the cheap cabinetry is separating, the electrical system is throwing errors, and you're paying a specialist to undo someone else's decisions. The $90,000 well-built Sprinter is not always the expensive option long-term. Sometimes it's the cheaper one stretched over 5 years. Section 3. The 3 surprises that kill van life plans. Now here's where retention data on this subject gets interesting, because people always focus on the wrong risks when they're researching. Surprise 1. Space math is different from space reality. A 170-inch wheelbase Sprinter looks enormous in a showroom. Once you have a fixed bed, a kitchen, a bathroom, storage for 2 people and a dog or a child, the psychological weight of that space changes completely. Families consistently underestimate this. Retirees manage it better because their expectations are more calibrated, but couples who've never lived in under 100 square feet consistently hit a wall around month 3. It's not about the square footage, it's about the unstructured time spent in that square footage. Surprise 2, the freedom costs freedom. This sounds like a contradiction, but it's one of the most honest things I can tell you. When you own a camper van, you now have a vehicle that needs specific parking, specific power, specific maintenance windows. You can't just leave it. You can't park it in a standard garage. Spontaneity requires planning in a way that regular life doesn't. Full-time van lifers often describe this paradox. The lifestyle marketed as total freedom comes with a layer of constant micro-logistics that exhausts people who weren't prepared for it. I spoke with one couple, both retired, both excited, bought a well-spec'd Sprinter conversion in early 2024, used it hard for 8 months. Then, family situation pulled them home for an extended period. The van sat on the driveway for 4 months. That's when the regrets started. Not because the van was bad, but because the fixed cost kept running while the lifestyle had paused. They sold it at a $22,000 loss. The van was fine. The timing wasn't. Surprise 3. The relationship test. This one is real, and nobody in the van life content space talks about it honestly enough. If there are any pre-existing tensions in a partnership or family dynamic, living in a confined mobile space will surface them fast. Conversely, couples who go in with strong communication and aligned expectations often report that van life made their relationship significantly stronger. It's not neutral territory, it amplifies whatever's already there. Section 4. The controversial insight nobody wants to hear. Now, I'm going to say something that will probably annoy half this audience. If you're in the part-time buyer camp, pause before you sign anything, because the math here is not in your favor. For most part-time users in 2026, buying a camper van is financially irrational. I know, that's not what this channel exists to tell you, but it's true, and I'd rather you make a smart decision than an expensive mistake. If you're going to use the van 30 to 60 days a year, which is the average for most buyers who have jobs, families, and other obligations, the per-trip cost when you factor in depreciation, insurance, storage, and maintenance often exceeds what you'd pay renting a well-spec'd camper van for those exact trips, sometimes by a significant margin. The buyers for whom van ownership genuinely makes financial and lifestyle sense are a more specific group than the marketing suggests. Full-timers and people doing 100+ days a year get the economics right. Retirees with flexible schedules who are genuinely mobile, they often get remarkable value. Families doing 2 or 3 extended road trips per year where the alternative is hotels and flights, the numbers can work. But the person who buys a van because it looks like freedom and uses it 6 times a year, that person is paying a very high price for a feeling, and that feeling fades. Section 5. What year 1 actually teaches you. Assuming you do buy, and for the right buyer, I genuinely believe it's one of the best purchases you can make, here's what year 1 should be doing for you. It should be teaching you your actual usage patterns, not your hoped-for patterns. By month 6, you know whether you're really a weekend warrior, a month-long tripper, or a genuinely nomadic person. Most people discover they're in a different category than they predicted. It should also be revealing your platform preferences. Ford Transit owners discover whether the lower roof clearance is livable for them. Sprinter owners find out whether the diesel complexity bothers them, or whether the long-distance efficiency justifies it. Ram ProMaster buyers, and this is the Fiat Ducato under a different badge as many buyers don't realize, discover whether the front-wheel drive dynamics work for their terrain. Volkswagen California owners realize they paid an enormous premium for a brand name and a roof that pops, which is either completely worth it or deeply frustrating depending on who they are. Year 1 is data, treated as such. But here's where most buyers realize they made the wrong call, and it has nothing to do with the van itself. Section 6. The 2026 market angle. This is still a hangover market. The 2020 and 2021 van life boom pushed prices to irrational highs. We've come down from those peaks, but the used market hasn't fully corrected in all regions. In parts of the US, you're still seeing 2019 and 2020 converted vans priced at near new money because sellers are anchored to what they paid. In Europe, the picture is slightly better. More supply has come back into the market, especially in Germany and the Netherlands, where there's a mature second-hand camper trade. What this means for you as a buyer, don't anchor to asking prices. The negotiating room in 2026 is real, especially on used conversions that have been sitting on the market for more than 90 days. Sellers who bought at peak and now are reality checking their expectations will deal. The leverage is yours if you're patient and not emotionally attached to a specific vehicle. Practical takeaway: who should buy, who should avoid? Let me be direct. Buy a camper van in 2026 if you have a clear, realistic usage plan of 80+ days a year, you've done at least one extended rental trip and still want to own it, you have the financial cushion to absorb year 1 surprises without stress, you've honestly assessed the relationship and space dynamics with whoever you're traveling with, and you've chosen a platform based on your actual terrain and mechanical risk tolerance, not aesthetics. Wait or reconsider if you're buying primarily on lifestyle aspiration. You've never spent more than a few nights in a van-sized space. You're expecting it to fix a restlessness or dissatisfaction that already exists in your life. Or you're at the ceiling of what you can afford, because van ownership rewards people who have financial margin and punishes those who don't. The van is not the adventure. The van is the vehicle for an adventure you need to have already planned in your mind first. Here's where I'll give you my actual view, not a balanced summary. Campervan ownership in 2026, done right, is still one of the most rewarding ways to experience travel for the right person. The problem is the content ecosystem around van life has systematically over-romanticized the entry and underreported the reality. That's not malicious, it's just that happy people on Instagram don't make videos about the $3,000 DPF repair or the 3 months the van sat unused because life got complicated. The buyers who thrive are the ones who go in clear-eyed, financially prepared, and with realistic expectations about what the lifestyle actually demands. They're also the ones who at year 2, 3, and 4 are still driving and still loving it. Because they weren't surprised by reality, they chose it. If this video made you more confident about buying or made you pause and reconsider, either outcome is the right one. Both mean you're making a smarter decision. One question before you go, and I genuinely want to know where you land. Are you in the buy now camp, the rent first camp, or the wait and watch camp? Drop it in the comments. 3 words is enough. I read every one, and the pattern in the answers is always more useful than any video I could make.